All right. Welcome all to the weekly technical committee meeting. Let's first go through the items, the action items from the previous meeting. Myself booked time slots for PTG in Vancouver and prepared PTG agenda for Vancouver. I decided to not hold a traditional PTG for the technical committee, but to set the attending TC members free to attend as many forum sessions and meet people and gather feedback from other attendants in the meeting. And then on Thursday, we are going to have a 2-hour sort of retrospective where we talk about the discussions that we had and see if there's some actionable items that we gathered while attending this event. Does it sound fair? Are there any questions, comments about that?
So
What
Thursday,
time?
what time? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking either early in the Thursday, early on Thursday, so that there is time to actually have some follow-up discussions after that as necessary. And it seems that most people did book the Thursday afternoon. And also there were plenty of free rooms, so I didn't rush into booking one before having this discussion.
Okay,
So just
you
one
made it
question.
after the diversity one?
So the PTG is going in parallel, right, with all these forum.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
There's a
So
lot
I
of
think
forum
Thursday,
sessions.
yeah, because Thursday, like 11 to 12, I have one panel discussion, then maybe some meetings. So I'm not sure, like Thursday, I will be able to attend, but so is it like few hours, like 1 or 2 hours for retrospective you want, or
Yeah,
just
and it's
like full day?
very informal.
Okay.
It's more of a, this is what we talked about. You should talk to that person. This is the feeling we got, action items, just a general touching base while those discussions are still warm. Amy, what time is the DNI
9
session?
a.m.
9 a.m.
9 a.m. right after the breakfast.
Yes.
So maybe in the evening.
Yeah, Thursday at 10, I know that Dimitri is busy with the OpenStack Ansible project onboarding. So there's also the public cloud SIG that is meeting on Thursday afternoon. So it's hard to get a time that doesn't preclude us from attending sessions that we are interested in attending. We can have this with beers after the PDG. Perhaps book like a dinner or something, I guess.
Yeah, either that or a quick video meeting like the week after to just sort of follow up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it would have to
that
be
will
Monday.
work fine.
What's that? Sorry.
Dinner would have to be Monday. I mean, we've got stuff going every night with it being so short.
Yeah, but then having it early
Or
sort of.
Wednesday after ice cream. We can have after ice cream dinner.
All right, there's the ice cream social. That could be an opportunity to regroup.
So if everyone meets up there, gets an ice cream, and then we can, there's tons of restaurants in Gastown. We could wander off to something after I'm done there.
But then we will, yeah, get some beer after ice cream, and the rest of the day is kind of ruined, I guess.
There's plenty of places down there. So we can plan on doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like meeting officially with the retrospective and all, I think we can do it then after the summit somewhere next week or somewhere, like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that as well.
Yeah, because it's hard to find like time in parallel to all these sessions and forum also. So it's not just the presentation and panel.
Yeah. My goal was really to maximize the presence of the TC outside of our own rooms, but trying to really get a feel for what's happening.
I guess the thing is that community might want to have questions to TC as well, so we must provide opportunity for other participants, members, and guests and operators to talk to TC if they want to.
Yeah, so we have
I
the
think it's
TC
quite
plus
important to.
leaders, interaction for a formal sort of meeting, and then we're gonna be around. So just make it clear that if someone wants to meet with a TC member, where we'll be, and we're open for discussions. And
sorry, when it is, because I don't see anything booked. So
I'll send an email out with regards to us just friendly and around. Yeah,
Tuesday 10 a.m.
Sorry, Thursday 10 a.m.
Tuesday.
Hang on, I'll get the room number. We can also go to lunch one day.
Tuesday 10 a.m. room number 10. Yeah. So yeah, because that's a session like where we can have like feedback even from operator, leaders, anyone interacting with TC. So that 1 hour is, I think Christy, is it 1 hour or? Yeah,
it's
1 hour, 10 minutes.
1 hour. All of the slots are 1 hour.
Okay, yeah. So I think that will be enough time for us to have like TCs present here and anyone want to talk, give feedback.
Yeah, it helps that it's early on during the event, so there are still considering Tuesday as well, 3 more days after that. So I'll try to make a point during that TC plus leaders to clarify that it's not just this 1 hour, but that we're going to try to make it known where we are and to reach out. And more of the informal side of things usually are what I get more from summits and PTGs. So it feels like this is a good combination of 1 hour of structured TC plus leaders as we usually have it, and then to just go around rooms. And by then we'll have sort of introduced ourselves during the TC plus leaders, so people know what to expect and to reach out if they have something.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So basically no PTG discussion, separate PTG discussion for TC.
Yeah.
It's just like we are present, but roaming around. Yeah, I think that's good.
We're having a project team ungathering, so we're distributing into the other gatherings. PTU.
So.
Well, okay.
Cool. Anything else on the topic? So I know that Dimitri, you'll be there. Amy will be there. G-Man will be there. I think Slavik as well. Who else will?
Yeah, I'll be there too.
Oh, cool.
So we can execute, take decisions and execute them. Enough people for that.
I'm not going to be there.
For that one. Yeah.
I think I'll be the only one.
No, I won't be there either. I'm not traveling this week, so.
Oh, okay.
Got some family things going on, so I won't be able to attend, unfortunately.
It's a shame you two won't be there, but we'll make sure to take the decisions on Monday, so that the Monday after the PTG, 1 week has already passed, so we can merge everything. All right. Moving on. I have another action item to finish the TC tracker, which I did. I copied over the elements. I have not finished it in a state that I would have liked it to be, including more context and links to all of the reviews. It's more of a copying over of things from. Actually, let me update the topic. I forgot that we are on past action. Hello, Jay.
Welcome, Jay, and Jay will also be in Vancouver.
Yeah. So on the tracker, I added a few of the other items also, like which we had an action item from PTG discussion. I'm not sure if I like captured all, so feel free to have a recheck or some check on that.
Yep, of course. So I can paste the link now. There's that, and the last action item is on my part to fix link redirect to release from docs. I have not had time to do this yet. I am punting it for next week. Well, next week it's the PDG, but I'll try to get it done before that. I'm noting it again. So that's all of the action items that I have written out from last week. Are there any other action items that I might have missed? Nope. So we already talked about the Open Infra Summit and PTG in Vancouver next week. To summarize again for Jay, we decided to not have traditional sessions for the TC during the PTG, but to spread out in other rooms and establish a presence of the TC in as many forum sessions and discussions and whatnot as possible. And then at some point during the week to get together in an informal manner and to have a retrospective where we catch up on what things we attended, what was of interest, and try to get some action items out of that if necessary. Unless there's anything else.
This is slightly off topic, but does anyone know how to get a link directly to like a forum presentation from the schedule? I just get like
So the individual link, yeah. Individual link is not possible, but the only trick is like if you know the speaker, you can filter with speaker and get the link of. Right? Otherwise, there is no way to get the individual session link.
Okay.
I did the trick with the speaker and other filter and get a link having only that session.
All right. So if you filter that there's only one result, that you technically have a link, but not quite.
Right.
Good trick.
You can get links like that. Is that what you're looking for, Brian? In the chat?
Let me see.
That doesn't take me to a specific item. It only takes me to the generic.
Yeah, it always go to
I just see the whole
complete schedule.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's actually like if there's something we can send as feedback, that deep links would be greatly appreciated for this tool in the future, because it's made organizing things extremely difficult, because you can't like send someone a link to like, here's this section.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Because
okay, I was just wondering in case I just missed something.
Yeah, that was just from, you would think if I right clicked on a linky looking thing from a session, like that one was the TC session, that it would take you there.
Yeah, I blame JavaScript. It's ruined everything.
It's unfortunate. And
all right, I was hoping there was a magic button or something I was unaware of, but okay.
There's a share, but it's not for a session, it's for everything.
Yeah, I think
Brian,
G-Man's suggestion is the best one.
Yeah, I know we were able to get them for the Red Hat page, the landing page. So if you want to just grab, I'm assuming you want your session, so just grab it from our landing page.
Are the forum ones on there?
I know at least one of my forum sessions is on there.
Oh, all right, I'll go look.
Check and see.
Okay.
I didn't put the list together. I know there was a limit on how many they could put there. But I know the meet and greet with the board is there.
I wonder how they got the link. Okay.
We can ask Emmett.
All right, I'm sorry to sidetrack everything.
Probably the answer is also JavaScript, but I think you want to hear that.
Jeremy, do you know how? Being awfully quiet. Okay, Jeremy's not really here.
We can.
Sign up for ice cream on Wednesday.
Yeah, I signed up for that. Just the emails
you did.
went to my junk. So
Speed mentoring is gonna have a lot of mentors, not a lot of mentees. At least from the look of it, but that's okay. And it's pancakes and maple syrup for anyone who needs breakfast.
I think that shows how old, with regards to involvement in the community, everyone who is remaining still is, rather than fresh people.
Or they don't want to be up at 7:30 in the morning, but it was pointed out to me, originally we were at 9 a.m., but that would overlap with the PTG and stuff, and that's where you get your mentors from, so we moved it as early as we could move it. So.
Oh, I thought Christy meant that instead of having a beer bash, we're having a sedate breakfast with pancakes and maple syrup.
It's speed mentoring. We can't take the mentees out for beer. Chances are they're underage. But you could compare it with the ice cream social.
Any other sessions that any of you would like to highlight during the summit?
There's a great community session. Unfortunately, it's at the same time as the TC. So I may pop in that room on my, because it's right next door, because our session's longer. I don't think any of y'all need to meet the board of directors. My guess is the forum sessions are going to be of the most interest to this group, because we all know that the talks are going to be recorded. So unless there's a room where somebody specifically wants a member of the TC in, which we could put in out there, Christy, on the list, that if there's any sessions people would like a member of the TC to attend, to let us know.
Makes sense. I wanted to highlight that on Tuesday during the TC plus leaders interaction, but it might make sense to send an email even before that we'll be around and our goal is to be around and be present.
Oh, that's a good call out. Brian put out the translation forum session.
Yeah, I would have given you a link, but I can't. So.
Jay, just do what I'm going to do. If they're shorter sessions, pop in there first and then come over to the TC. At least for mine, it's right next door. I can stand at the door and poke my head in both rooms.
All right. Moving on then. The next topic is gate health check.
So there's definitely a bunch of really small things that are impacting. I haven't really found a common thread recently, which is frustrating because it feels like every time I run something these days, it's one job failed with one test, but not for the same reason as any of the other things. So that makes investment in fixing those things, you know, hard. But I really think we need to be farming that out to lots of people, because for the most part, it's the same few people trying to fix these things. And when it's onesie twosie, especially if it's related to a specific project, it gets really exhausting. So I mean, lately it feels like it's 3 or 4 rechecks to get a green on any one patch. I've been seeing some again, volume related fails. I haven't seen any volume detach fails since I made that big push for fixes. So that's good, because those have been killing us for a long time. But I think now that those are gone, we're starting to see all of the smaller things. So there's one thing, the only thing that I've really seen most frequently is some sort of IO error where like we attach a volume to a guest and then halfway through the test, you see the volume disappeared, or maybe I haven't really seen Ceph die or something like that, but like the guest is like trying to read or write from that volume and getting IO errors, which is definitely something really wrong there. It might not be anything, you know, in our services, maybe something or something, but yeah. So I feel like we're in a better place, but not. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yeah, Tempest slow. Like last week, I've seen a lot of timeout in Tempest slow zone.
Yeah, and then the timeouts. Yeah,
run all the slow test, and it started like a more frequent timeout. I need to like debug more, like which particular test or something. But I agree, it's so more of like not a particular test with particular reason. It's happening like with all the
kind of systemic.
different.
Yeah. I haven't seen any specific slow tests get hung or anything. I think it's just that by the time we end up finished with the regular part of Tempest, we're really close to our timeout, and then we're getting ready to run a serialized bunch of slow tests, and you're just kind of racing the clock to finish those. So I don't really know what to do about that, other than maybe put the slow tests in their own job or in another job that's like very limited in the main scope, maybe.
So the slow tests are not running other than the Tempest slow zone. So it's the scenario test running in a serial scenario test.
Scenario. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Sorry.
And we have separated out a few of those like admin and negative test in a separate zone, but still.
I wonder about that.
Solve that thing.
Sorry, because it takes so long. The setup time is so expensive for those tests that maybe it's just basically anything on Tempest, right? Because you got the whole dev stack set up. So you got like 50 minutes before anything runs. So, I mean, what we did in Cinder, which I don't recommend to anybody, we increased the timeouts, because we noticed what Gman did was that once your SSH-able thing had merged, I think more things were actually passing, and it slowed the overall thing down. So we're running with a 3-hour timeout now.
Yeah,
because it was
I really feel like that slowed us down. The thing is, it made us not fail stuff, because like if you it's but it definitely takes longer because we're waiting until things are actually ready. So yeah, the problem is it's just so long already, and I know that we can increase the timeout, and the Ceph job kind of has to be longer, but I just I don't know.
I feel like DevStack, if we see 30 to 40 minutes it takes, right? It's like test, and if we see like the operations, right, are getting slow, either due to any reason, like it's either a distro is slow now or whatever. But if you see the test, like doing the API operation, calling them, we need to find out like why they are now slow compared to like nothing has changed on Tempest or anything changed on service side.
Yeah, this is the problem with raising the timeout, is that it's like, you know, you double the amount of memory you've got on your system, and people stop worrying so much about you know, being conservative on memory. And if we make the timeout 3 hours, then we'll be here in 2 years, you know, wondering why we're not making that. So I know, and this is why I feel like it really needs to kind of be a push, you know, like it's really hard for us as developers that just run on DevStack single node things to work on performance. I know, and it's really hard to measure it. I spent days and weeks of my time trying to come up with countable, you know, performance metrics. It's impossible. But the actual slowness of these operations, I agree, is like something that we need to figure out how to have some sort of community-wide focus on. And you know, it's being painful for us in addition to the operators that are having to deploy more hardware as a result. So like we should have a visceral reaction to fix it. But anyway, I'm just getting a little burnt out on, you know, feeling like everybody else is happy to recheck 20 times for every patch.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll note that Ironic kind of has the parallel version of that problem. I know that like the folks who work on the Ironic jobs tend to be like a separate set, but we kind of have the same things. One specific concrete thing I wanted to suggest that we can try is that's been observed, like actually to negative effect, that the newer Python releases, I think 3.10 and 3.11, have improved performance quite a bit to the point where like it's exposed race conditions in Ironic unit tests that we've had to clean up. So part of me wonders, have we attempted just seeing if we can get those DevStack jobs running on a newer Python, if that's going to make any kind of difference in the runtime? Because that'd be interesting to me, and that seems like it would be pretty close to free. And well, that's a heck of a lot easier than trying to, you know, figure out what magic to do to make Python faster when we're just, you know, calling APIs and parsing JSON all day. That's not going to necessarily be the best path, but if we can get the faster Python.
But they're already running on 3.10.
3.10, yeah.
So 3.11 has a minor improvement, but not anything substantial. Yes. And to be honest, I don't think that I definitely noticed unit tests performing better because those are highly CPU bound. But I don't really think we noticed any substantial difference going from like 3.8 to 3.10, which was 60% improvement in some Python cases, because most of what we're doing is, you know, IO bound stuff that it's not just Python spinning in a loop. It's, you know, we're hitting the database super hard, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, it's worth sending an email out with a summary of this conversation so we can try to get more feedback and try to get more participation from people who may not otherwise be aware that they're not the only ones who have to recheck things 10 times before they pass. And perhaps there's help that we can farm out, especially next week during the
I mean, people that are in these other project sessions, you know, could really help, I think, by trying to raise that during open discussion, or if, you know, things are still available to be put on agendas and stuff. Because I think it's going to take, you know, I also like, you know, I put together a whole bunch of performance metric stuff. I might not have really you know, trumpeted that quite as widely, so maybe we can do some more of that. But like, if you look at the dump of database operations at the end of a DevStack run, I've brought this up with the Keystone people and could not get any response, but like Keystone operations take way longer than they should. And if you look at that output, there's just the setup of a DevStack ends up with something like 49,000 select calls just to get a DevStack started, which is insanity. And it's like way more than, like, Neutron is really high. I have no idea why Neutron is that high, but like Keystone's like 2 orders of magnitude worse, or an order of magnitude worse. It's crazy. And so like there's that, and then the, you know, performance metrics that the JSON performance.json that's in every run job now. You know, there's a lot of data in there that, you know, would be nice to point people to.
Yeah, no, actually this has been like the issue since starting. We have only a set of people looking into those great thing and issues, and everyone else like not even showing interest.
Yeah,
so somehow we need to like encourage them or motivate them to come forward and start debugging the thing than just the recheck.
Makes sense. The first step towards that is to gathering all of the context in one place so that people can sort of catch up on the discussion they've missed, rather than having to hunt down things on all of the different places and then just being relentless and stubborn and annoying in asking for that sort of help, which I can try to take more of a lead with.
The question I have is, like, obviously we're talking about this in context of QA, right? But like in general, it seems like investment in the commons is down. So like, I wonder if such an admonition needs to be expanded beyond that. Because if you look at things like, we have people trying to engage with Oslo on the list, and there's not many people there working on that sort of stuff. Like there's a large set of the commons that are not getting as much love as it might need. And so I just wonder if we see those problems as related or kind of separate, because I know that CI will make noise. CI will get in your way if it's ignored. Some of our lesser maintained libraries are just sort of sitting there languishing, and we may not be noticing the amount of rot that's happening. We've certainly seen that happen in like some ironic vendor libraries that we've had to go poke the vendors to go update and things like that.
I mean, isn't that the whole context of the discussion with the board of trying to get more, general purpose contributions? I feel like that's well understood, but the thing about the it's not just QA. I mean, it manifests itself in the gate, but it also like impacts everybody that runs OpenStack in general. And I guess I want to avoid, I think the problem is the opposite of what you just described, which is that people assume that G-Man will work 27 hours a day, because he will, trying to fix everybody's gate and test job, issues, right? And this, it really needs to not be like more people focused on just fixing those things. It needs to be like everybody's job, otherwise I just feel like it's not gonna, like, we can just keep bumping people's timeouts to keep the jobs working, but like G-Man can't be going, and I can't be going in and like, figuring out why Keystone is doing 49,000 select calls. It's just, I don't know. So
wish I could tell you. I don't know either.
I want it to be less of we need some more dedicated people to do this sucky work, and more like everybody's job, I guess, because I feel like that's the only way it's ever going to happen.
I don't think we're getting any dedicated people to work on this, so we need to make this work as approachable and as shared context as possible, so that people just stumble into fixing those things without having to hunt down G-Man or you and ask, hey, why do I have to recheck this 10 times? And we are like, hey, did you miss the memo that we sent last week? Here's us telling that to you again, rather than pointing you to a shared document where everything is sort of collected in a ready to work for manner.
The problem is that a lot of people aren't asking that. They're just happy to keep rechecking until it's available, which I don't really know how to make peace with that either. but that's why it needs to be a little bit more like getting up in people's face, I think, because I don't know, there's just some people that, I almost want to take away the recheck button, like
I'm dead serious. If we had a knob to make it where only core reviewers can perform a recheck on a change, that might be a significant positive change. Because like you parlay right into what I was going to say, which is that like, at least in Ironic and some of the stuff I organize, it's not our long-term contributors that are blindly rechecking things. It is drive-by contributors, people who are trying to get 1 or 2 patches in, or maybe spend a couple hours a week in the community, or a week or 2 at a time trying to get a patch in, and their focus is recheck, get it merged. And I struggle a little bit with telling those people, no, you have to troubleshoot this CI, when I know that given the amount of time they have to dedicate to OpenStack, that's basically telling them off a little bit. And so it would be nice to have like that technical barrier in the way to keep folks in that situation from continuing to mash the button until something passes, and instead, force someone to come around who maybe knows what's going on to look at the change and say, this needs to be rechecked or this doesn't, because that is a pretty powerful tool in the hands of non-cores. But I guess that's also like, it's tough because I know that different teams have different standards for cores. Like in Ironic, we don't have that many recurring contributors who don't have core access at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. I will bet you $1 US or Canadian dollar, your choice, that if Slavic goes and updates his thing, that core members are overrepresented on the recheck than regular contributors, because I think that's where most of the work is getting done these days. And I think those people are rechecking. They're overloaded. They're not looking at the problems. They're doing the recheck. So I will bet you. I don't know
I
how I'm
also
going to
have a
get that money to
feeling
you,
that
but
most of those rechecks are when they have already approved something and in the final gate check rather than the initial
there's
testing.
plenty of
So
that. Yep.
they just want to get it in because other stuff is depending on it. So
yeah, so I think one thing, I'm not sure, Christy, have you started the Etherpad for our leadership interaction session?
I have. Did I not?
Okay.
Yeah,
send it
that would
out?
be a good time
Maybe
to
I
bring it
think
up.
this is a good time to bring, and I think spend some time there,
Perfect.
take feedback from them also, like leaders, why they don't do that or any obstacle. I mean, that
Makes
can be
sense.
if we can spend
We
some
only
10,
have
15
1
minutes.
hour though, so I would like to keep it as more of a start of conversations rather than use that entire 1 hour to have one conversation.
Sure.
Definitely.
Just bring it up.
Just spreading
I'll-
this, like this is actually a serious thing, and TC really encourage everyone, even including
It
TC
is.
member who are doing.
I don't think it's going to be easy to get out of this one, considering how it works for people to hit recheck 10 times. And that's all the time they have. We should be happy that they are still involved and contributing and reviewing, and everything else we can get is more of a plus than a requirement, and we need to make it as approachable as possible.
I don't really think, I think that the most benign use of recheck, I mean, everyone has to use recheck, but I mean, I think that the drive-by contributors just trying to get their thing green so it will get reviewed, I don't blame them at all. What I don't like is when, core members have rechecked, the same issue 30 times. And so I almost want to make core members have to pay 5 cents or 5 Canadian cents per recheck or something. But anyway, Christy, I linked you to the exact line there on a recent one that shows that keystone. I want you to, I would feel better if you click on it. But anyway, that will probably go away at some point. But I think that would be a good, if you're going to bring it up and spend 5 minutes on the leadership thing, just be like, somebody tell me why this is happening. If you can't off the top of your head, that's why we need to have, because that is crazy.
10 times more than Neutron, yeah.
And I don't know why Neutron is that high. I mean, that's nuts.
So, first of all, Keystone has to check the tokens for every request. So
41,000 times.
But is it cached? Should be cached in memcache or something like that? Because
yeah, that's a good point. But
41,000 tokens by the time the end of DevStack
user for each of the things. I think Tempest creates a new user. No, it doesn't. Okay.
This is at the end of DevStack. This is not at the end of Tempest. This is at the end of DevStack. At the end of Tempest, it's hundreds of thousands.
So Tempest creates separate user for each test class, but that always like a later part. It's just DevStack creating some accounts with Nova, Cinder, and all those stuff only.
If I could take a sabbatical, that sounds like something fun to work on. But otherwise, yeah, Sims. I'll bring it up with the team. I don't think anyone has the power to, or rather, the cycles to really work on that. Considering how we're trying to get gates fixed on Keystone Auth, Keystone Client, and some other things that were not quite working and that needs a lot of backports.
147,000 selects at the end of a Tempest run.
Okay.
After resetting the ones that we did during the DevStack setup. So
that doesn't say the amount of time that was spent on those statistics.
But all of those things, but all of those things slow down the database for all the other servers, right? Neutron at the end of a run is 653,000 selects at the end of a Tempest run. 500,000 select calls. So.
Fascinating. Thanks for collecting the data, by the way. It's really cool. Let me write down the action item to
And Christy, if you
update
can
the
paste the
TC plus
link.
leaders. Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, if you can update the link also, if you have.
Let me find it.
Jay, they're in DevStack by default now, but some people have turned it off because getting these stats requires injecting that plugin that I wrote into the database connection URL. And there are certain times where Python or whatever makes that difficult. And so some people have it disabled.
We are one of the people who have it disabled because it was causing random failures in our tests and we were not able to track it, but we did basically bisect it to that being on versus off.
Yeah.
So
well,
I think that is the same thing. That's disappointing actually, because that would have been exciting to see.
Well, it generates a little bit more load, although it doesn't count its own load in this load, right? But anyway, I mean, you can just turn it on locally and run a full thing, or turn it on for one job and run it and get, at least a point in time piece of data. But anyway.
So I pasted the link to the TC plus leaders Etherpad on IRC, and I'm pasting there the links that Dan Smith shared with regards to Keystone rights and database queries and metrics.
Yeah, just added some global thing and then we can discuss timeout thing, especially.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, let's see if we can get more people like start helping here.
I hope so. I'll see what we can do. Hopefully the PTG will bring more visibility into this sort of things. For me, at least, it will be my first in-person event for OpenStack since the pandemic. So I'm excited for that.
I think we had only Berlin, right?
Yeah, I had to miss Berlin due to COVID positive test like a few days before. Moving on to the next topic, which is again the broken docs due to inconsistent release naming. I have not done progress on that. I have an action item marked, which I will try to finish this week. And with that, we can move on to open discussion.
Yeah, I had a question with the upstream investment opportunities. Do those get voted on or just approved?
I think
we did a roll call vote for the one that I recently merged. I don't know if that was required or not, but that's how it was handled.
Their formal vote, my reasoning is that they describe policy as in the TC is advising this to happen. So it feels like a formal policy of the TC.
Yeah, it is like we are spreading help, not just like within TC or anything, but more than beyond that to the board or organization or anything. So it's good to have the formal vote and like majority agree that this is a good to be added in upstream opportunity. Though we get the help or not, that's a different thing.
Yeah, I just wanted to have something posted before the summit, but the Garrett review's enough. But this is for to get somebody to help do the migration for translations from Sonata to Weblate. So if people have time to take a quick look just to see.
If we get like we can merge it like before you spread it in submit. It might have 7 days, right? By Tuesday or Wednesday. If like we get the review today and if anything to be updated.
Okay. All right. Anyway, put the link in I'll put the link in.
Yeah.
Put in IRC actually.
I think this will be good to spread it in the summit. The plan.
And then for I actually had a question about that. Somebody can respond on the review. But for the contacts, we've got time zone problems communicating with the right? The internationalization SIG. So I didn't want to put like Ian's email address. So I noticed that on one of the wiki pages, he had a link to his OpenStack profile. So that's why that's the contact. And then with Sung Soo, I only have an email address for him. I couldn't find his speaker profile. But I figure I better talk to them first before I put any kind of email address in this. I noticed all the other ones I looked at, I didn't look at every single one.
So
Said something like, show up in the channel, you know, hop on IRC and say hello to us in OpenStack, whatever, and we'll talk to you, or use the mailing list. And that I don't think there's a channel for the internationalization SIG.
there is a channel, I think I18, yeah, openstack-i18n. But I think putting the mailing list link and saying that the I18 SIG tag, that will be more benefit, because at least more member can see instead of an individual contact.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and fix that then to make it more general. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, okay, I've got another thing that, so everybody tie your shoelaces. So this is a bunch of release reviews. Cinder is proposing to EOL all of our EM branches. And Jeremy actually already responded. Rajat put out something on the mailing list, which I also have just wanted to give you a heads up about this because I expect it should be controversial, although one never knows.
Should be controversial or will be?
I'm not sure in what sense. Yeah, I'm sure it will, but maybe it also should. But it's basically, I mean, Jeremy, you can read his response. It's got to do with the whole notion of having these EM branches around and what the obligations of the project teams are. So strictly speaking, if you read the documentation, it's, you know, basically supposed to be a community-wide thing, doesn't fall on the projects so much. But in practice, you rely on the project teams to actually merge stuff. And then also we feel like there's an obligation that if we've got this stuff around, we should be paying attention to it. And it's just, I mean, I can tell all the developers know we shouldn't pay attention, but I don't want to do that. And they don't want to hear it either because it feel like it's a real thing, right? So
but
anyway.
Jeremy's response to that will be that, but it doesn't need to require the project teams to merge because we can delegate that stuff. And it's like, yeah, I get that. But like you say, the goal and the letter of the law of that whole process is not what's happening in my experience. And I think that, you know, we don't have obvious people that we trust to, you know, take over the reins of those things. It's clearly the project people, you know, especially from Red Hat, you know, as long as those branches are open and related to downstream branches that we have, you know, we're doing the majority of that backporting for our reasons. And I just think that regardless of the fact that it says this is not the project teams, except it is clearly the project teams, and no promises are made except activity happened in the last week, people are going to be like, oh, Dan and Brian from Red Hat are backporting stuff to train. I'm sure it's got all of the most critical bug fixes from the last decade in it, or you know, the fixes for the most critical DVE.
I mean, I want to even go a level deeper than that, because we pretend like the project team shouldn't be responsible for EM branches. But when someone does recheck a bunch on EM branches, it shows up as ironic. It doesn't show up ironic EM if someone's hitting the recheck button like it's their job. It shows up in ironic. If an old unmaintained EM branch has Zool config errors, when the TC goes to track it, it doesn't say ironic EM, it says ironic, right? Like, these are things that the project teams are proud of. Like, we have pride in this. We have a sense of ownership over this, and saying that like we can just delegate that all away to just let random people put stuff in a Git repo maybe that made sense in a world where OpenStack had more contribution than it does, but it doesn't make sense today. And it's sort of this weird thing where in practice, we hold all the responsibility for it, because I'll tell you what, someone merges something bad to the ironic train branch and it gets deployed into my downstream, they're going to look to me. They're not going to look at, some stable branch person who merged it. So like, I agree strongly that like what EM says it is, what our documentation says it is, it's not what it is. It's not a matter of we treat it differently, so that's not what it is. It's not what it is because it's not what it is. And we should probably investigate doing like substantial policy changes around that in order to make it reflect reality.
I think that what you said, I don't think it ever made sense, meaning in the sense that the goal of what that policy was intended to do made sense at the time as much as it does now, but it has never in practice been what actually happened. So I don't even think that this is it used to work, but now it doesn't work problem. I think it's like the goal was nice, but in practice it never panned out that way. So I'm not saying, I think that Cinder nuking all of their branches is okay. I'm not sure that everyone is going to want to do that. I've already voted on the Nova train branch that we should cut and run from that. I don't know that everyone else is going to agree on the like up to Wallaby and that kind of thing. But like I think that it's a responsible thing to do, to say we're not going to fix the two biggest security vulnerabilities in this tree in the last decade in these branches, and therefore we're closing them for safety. Like I think
that's basically it. I mean, that was Gorka felt very strongly that it's because the backports get really, really hard because
multiple projects, libraries, releases. It's
multiple components in the multiple libraries, and then as the libraries age, stuff drops out. It doesn't get caught by tests, and then you find it out. You got to fix it, and it's I
think
and this vulnerability is not messing around in terms of like seriousness.
CV fix that Noah, or I think Cinder CV fix for that DTAS thing. Melanie was backporting in Wallaby, and we had the gate failed. We went to Ceph plugin, fixed that, and all.
Yeah, so, but even the VMDK one is not. The VMDK one requires Oslo utils changes in order for the Nova thing to even work, and it's just. And that's the second to last one. That's not even the most recent big CVE thing.
So I think we somewhere during 1 or 2 PTZ back, we discussed where I proposed like we have around, how many we have now? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 7 extended maintenance, 4 maintained branch. So somewhere we have to reduce the number. I mean, it's not like let's just get rid of extended maintenance completely, but try to reduce the number of extended maintenance. Currently we have 3, 3, 6, and 1, 7. That always goes out of range for us, right? So keeping it like 3 or 4 makes sense.
Playing devil's advocate for a minute, is there any positive thing that having extended maintenance around has given us at all?
I think there's positive, like, quite frankly, I've worked at places that have had older branches deployed, and having them supported is a huge benefit. The thing that I have not personally seen any value from with either my operator or with my, like leadership, OpenStack contributor, whatever hat on, is the distinction between maintained and EM. Has never been meaningful to me, but I have appreciated the fact that OpenStack branches have stayed alive longer than the 18 months on the 10. So it's sort of like I want to specifically split that hair. Extended maintenance as a concept has not provided me value. Having branches alive for 2 or 3 years when upgrading was more difficult has been helpful.
Fair. Yes, Dimitri?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what downstream packages are going to do with that, because Ubuntu, for example, in LTS release needs to somehow support and backport all of that, which I mean kind of becomes weird when we all seen, and I don't know.
We have the same problem. And that's why I'm saying I'm not sure that, Cinder's decision to nuke those branches is, I think, prudent because of the severity of the cinder affecting part of this CVE, and so that makes sense. I don't know, like I think that I think Jay was the one that made the point, which I was trying to make as well, which is that or maybe implied, but we added the EM stuff specifically for the distros, and we said, but don't worry, it's not going to increase the impact on the project teams. And all it did was, like Jay said, all of them are basically treated the same, and it's just as much work as maintaining and back things, except now on the really ugly ones, we can say we're not going to do that, but then that creates the other problem, right? So, I mean, I don't know, maybe moving them to like a different namespace or something like that would be good, and just literally I don't know who's going to be the core, the gatekeeper for those things, but I feel like, all we've done is basically increase the number of supported branches by a lot,
and
like
created a false
overall,
illusion of this being maintained by the actual upstream team. So,
and if you see like it will be the core and
too.
all, it will actually come up to whatever like developer or core member currently maintaining. I can say my like QA experience, we said clearly in Sydney or Vancouver sometime, like Tempest will not support extended maintenance thing and all, but till now, whatever like Tempest QA team is there, including me, we keep fixing the extended maintenance gate and all, we keep spending the time.
Yep.
So
interesting. There's various approaches moving forward. Like obviously nuking all the branches is one of them. Renaming it to and maintained is one of them. Removing any sort of QA on them, but just keeping the branches open and just making it a free-for-all is another one of them. Something needs to change because this doesn't work. So it warrants a larger discussion that we're not going to have in the next 1 minute. So
I have a quick item for that 1 minute of open discussion if you want it.
Yeah, go ahead.
TC members are invited. We're doing an ironic contributor and operator dinner Thursday night. If you're interested, DM me. I'll make sure you get on the list. We have a few extra spots left. I will also have these at the summit. Your work on the TC, QA teams, whatever is appreciated as ironic devs. So come find me and get a pair of socks. I will have plenty. So I just wanted to toss that out there, invite y'all. The thank you gift from well, I would say the ironic team. The reality is that G Research paid for it, but thank you from all of us anyway. That's what it's for.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay.
Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Just one thing, like Brian, you mentioned about the forum session in Cinder. So there you're going to discuss about this extended maintenance for Cinder thing, or you want TC also to come there?
Well, we'll be available to discuss it. I think it's turning out Rajat's not going to be able to make it. So we're going to have it'll be me and Eric.
We're seeing some visa issues. Okay. They're working on it today, but there's a chance we've got 4 people not making it.
But yeah, so our idea was that we put it on the mailing list. We've got the patches up to show that we're serious, the release patches, the EOL stuff. But we want to get some feedback before we ask the release team to merge it.
Do you want like completely nobody +1s on those, like nobody meaning like I have no vote in Cinder, but like I approve this message kind of thing, or what?
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking that would not hurt, but on the other hand, we sort of have like the I forget what it's called, right? The silence is acquiescence model for OpenStack. So
sure,
we just want to give people the opportunity to bring it up, because I know it is, like Dimitri said, it's a pain point for some of the distributors. So we want to take that stuff into account, but we are serious about doing something.
At least like what I want Cinder not take that quick decision until we discuss it at the broader level, decide like if we can just cut off the gate completely or reduce or rename, whatever, like, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll reply on the mailing list. I've been kind of putting it off, but
okay. All right, thanks.
I even can recall how Thomas was kind of ranting about early and Rocky quite recently, and I mean, yeah, now we're talking about even Xena, which is
Yeah, I think that will be good from
which
him.
I personally still want, to be frank.
Could you repeat, Dimitri? You weren't
No.
sure. Okay.
It's
All right. We're way over time. We do have an IRC channel to continue the discussion in. So see you all there. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Thanks everyone. See you.